Hello, it's 5:30. Nigeria. Thank you so much for staying tuned to Channels Television. This is The World Today. I'm Cynthia Are. Here are our top stories. 5,689 people. That's the number who've died from the Ebola virus disease. This new figure was announced by the World Health Organization, which says the total number of cases now stands at well over 15,900. In its latest update, the WHO says almost all cases and 15 deaths have been in Guinea, Sierra Leone and Liberia. Those are the three hardest hit countries which reported 600 new cases in the past week. Transmission of the virus remains intense in Sierra Leone, especially in the west and north, with the capital Freetown still the worst affected area. Now, concerned about the rising cases of the Ebola virus infection in some parts of West Africa, the Voice of America recently hosted a town hall meeting tagged Ebola Knowledge is Life to engage its African audience. Our correspondent Innie Thompson was there and our reports.
In a special edition of Voice America's weekly program, Straight Talk Africa, host Shaka Sali and his producers brought together a studio audience of African experts and media with a panel of people on the front lines in the fight against Ebola. Sierra Leone Ambassador to the United States, Bakari Stevens, Ebola co-discoverer, Dr. Malunga Miatudila, and two survivors, Dr. Rick Sakra and photojournalist Ashoka Muku. First, VOA Director David Ensor said that Ebola is more than just a news story, it's a commitment to coverage.
VOA has been reporting on this story, and I can tell you now we will stay with it for as long as necessary, even if other major media move on to other stories.
Delving to the crux of the matter, Dr. Malunga said this outbreak is the 26th since the virus was discovered in 1976. He says none have lasted for more than 3 months, unlike the current one. He cited a number of factors behind his thoughts.
It's because we, the human being, are going into the habitat of the bats. We are entering the new niches. So this one we are meeting new friends or enemies, or so that's a problem.
Sierra Leone's ambassador told the audience he appreciates every assistance, especially from the international community, but he asks that attention also be given to children who have lost their parents to Ebola.
Because many of these orphans will not have the kind of support that we might need. And the government that is coming from this type of catastrophe will be engaged in many facets of the nation's bringing it back to where from the brink.
Nigeria's success in stopping Ebola could not be left out. In response to my question, Dr. Rick Sakra, who caught Ebola in Liberia, said Nigeria did all of the right things.
Nigeria has done extremely well with universities, training centers, residency programs. You have a very well-educated medical workforce, and so you have people who are equipped to recognize this disease, to follow proper procedures in isolating it quickly.
And the town hall was not without emotion, especially when Ebola survivor Ashoka Muku made his plea to the audience.
I think everybody gets to choose what they care about in life and what's important to them. And for me, I think people who have privilege, people who have opportunity, it's a good thing to give back if you can. And you have to use your intelligence, so it's not just wanting to do good, but trying to see what you can actually accomplish to help people who are doing hard work. And I don't know, I just feel like it's a beautiful world, but we can make it better.
Innie Thompson reporting for Channels Television, Washington, D.C.
Meanwhile, there's some good news concerning the Ebola virus disease. The first human trial of an experimental vaccine against the virus suggests that it's safe and may help the immune system to combat the virus. 20 volunteers were immunized in the United States, and scientists at the U.S. National Institute of Health, that's the NIH, described the results as promising. The research is published in the New England Journal of Medicine, and it claims none of those immunized suffered major side effects and all produced antibodies. The experimental vaccine is being manufactured by the British drugs company GlaxoSmithKline, also known as GSK. From health to politics, Tanzania's Prime Minister is under pressure to resign over alleged fraudulent payments worth $120 million to an energy firm and top officials. A parliamentary watchdog committee said Mizengo Pinda failed to properly oversee government finances. It also called for the resignation of 2 powerful government ministers, and all 3 have denied any wrongdoing. Last month, donors suspended some aid to Tanzania, which has repeatedly been dogged by corruption allegations. Let's take some news from home now. Since it's Africa Thursday, there's no cause for worry, and that's the assurance coming from the Finance Minister, Dr. Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala, who said that Nigeria has strategies to deal with falling oil prices even as low as $60 per barrel. The minister said the scenario-based approaches developed to cushion the favorable or the unfavorable effects of the falling prices are comprehensive and supported by extensive consultations with global analysts such as the IMF and short to medium-term strategies mainly targeted at the poor and vulnerable. Part of the medium-term strategy, she explained, is a revenue target of $3 billion over the next 3 years, with substantial cuts on expenditure, both recurrent and capital. She, however, added that the cuts will not affect priority sectors that will focus on the poor and average Nigerians, such as infrastructure, health, education, and security. We'll take a break now on the World Today. When we come back, we'll bring you an update on the hanged teenagers in India. Please stay with us.